This is the newsroom for today, Friday, December 18, 2020. We're broadcasting to you on E1 Scar TV, NTN and Tarsi TV in Partica. In the headlines, the World Court says it has jurisdiction to hear the Guyana-Venezuela border case.
The court's jurisdiction is therefore limited, ratione tempore.
Attorney General Senior Counsel Anil Nandlal says missing Haitians must be found before he responds to the High Court about how they were treated. Over 1,000 Region 4 residents to receive house lots. And in sport, the Basketball Federation unveils new strategy for development following virtual AGM, and Pollard wants professionalism over glamour from West Indies players. With the news, I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for joining us. We started by telling you that the International Court of Justice, the ICJ, on Friday handed down a judgment in which it decided it has jurisdiction to hear the Guyana-Venezuela border controversy case. The judgment was read by President of the ICJ, Judge Abdul Qawi Ahmed Yusuf, at the Peace Palace in The Hague, where a public sitting of the court was held. The case, instituted on March 29, 2018 by Guyana against Venezuela, had asked the ICJ to pronounce on the legal validity and binding effect of the 1899 arbitral award, which determined the boundaries between the two countries. Judge Yusuf said the court concluded that it has jurisdiction to hear Guyana's claims concerning the validity of the 1899 award and related questions of the definitive settlement of the land boundary dispute. He, however, noted that the court's jurisdiction is limited as it cannot entertain Guyana's complaints on events that occurred after the signature of the Geneva Agreement.
With respect to the court's jurisdiction, ratione temporis, the court notes that the scope of the dispute that the parties agreed to settle through the mechanism set out in Articles 1 to 4 of the Geneva Agreement is circumscribed by Article 1 thereof, which refers, and I quote, to the controversy which has arisen as a result of the Venezuelan contention that the arbitral award of 1899 is null and void, end of quote. The court's jurisdiction is therefore limited, ratione tempore, to the claims of either party that existed on the date the Geneva Agreement was signed, on 17 February 1966. Consequently, Guyana's claims arising from events that occurred after the signature of the Geneva Agreement do not fall within the scope of the jurisdiction of the court, ratione tempore. In light of the foregoing, the court concludes that it has jurisdiction to entertain Guyana's claims concerning the validity of the 1899 award about the frontier between British Guyana and Venezuela and the related question of the definitive settlement of the land boundary dispute between the territories of the parties.
The court decided that the referral of the matter to the ICJ by the United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres on January 30, 2018 was legal as is contemplated in the agreement. Judge Yusuf expressed regret at the decision taken by Venezuela not to participate in the hearings so far. He said the non-appearance of any party has a negative impact on the administration of justice, but noted that even in Venezuela's absence, the judgment is final and binding on both parties. The court's president said now that the ICJ has claimed jurisdiction, Venezuela will be able, if it wishes to do so, appear before the court to present its arguments.
The court next examines whether, by choosing the International Court of Justice as the means of judicial settlement for the controversy between Guyana and Venezuela, the Secretary General acted in accordance with Article 4, Paragraph 2 of the Geneva Agreement. The court notes that in taking his decision of 30 January 2018, the Secretary General expressly relied upon Article 4, Paragraph 2 of the Geneva Agreement. The court is of the view that the good offices process previously chosen by the Secretary General did not lead to a solution of the controversy within the terms of Article 4, Paragraph 2, and that this provision thus called upon him to choose another means of settlement. Neither Article 4, Paragraph 2 of the Geneva Agreement nor Article 33 of the Charter of the United Nations expressly mentions the International Court of Justice. However, the court, being the principal judicial organ of the United Nations, constitutes a means of judicial settlement within the meaning of Article 33 of the Charter. The Secretary General could therefore choose the court on the basis of Article 4, Paragraph 2 of the Geneva Agreement as the judicial means of settlement of the controversy between the parties.
According to the judgment, the 1899 award states that both Guyana and Venezuela consented to the means of a judicial settlement. The full text of the judgment will be available on the ICJ's website shortly. Venezuela is maintaining a claim to 70% of Guyana's territory, arguing that the 1899 agreement, which determined the boundaries between the two countries, is null and void. Meanwhile, President Irfan Ali, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, UTOD, and co-agent in the Guyana-Venezuela border case, Carl Greenidge, welcomed the judgment. The president, along with members of his cabinet, on Friday viewed the court's judgment at the Artichon Conference Center. The officials noted that the judgment is a victory for all Guyanese, as they urged for continued support for the team representing Guyana at the ICJ.
This victory is testimony to what we can achieve as a people when we're united. As a result of today's ruling, the court will now proceed to hear the merits of the case. It will decide and judge on Guyana's claim that the arbitral award of the 3rd of October 1899 permanently fixed the boundary with Venezuela, and it remains legally valid and binding on both Venezuela and Guyana. It is to that phase of our case that we now bend our will in unity as a nation and with conviction in the rightness of our cause. I express the hope, now that the court has ruled decisively in favor of its jurisdiction to rule on the merits, that our neighbors will consider participating fully in the proceedings. I thank all of Guyana and all beyond Guyana who continue to help our just case and cause.
We are pleased to see this case brought to a forum, accepted by a forum which can ensure the definitive resolution of the controversy which has bedeviled our country and its neighbor since 1962. The issue has been characterized by endless and interminable repetition of processes and arguments. And in the background, whilst this interminable exchanges have taken place, Guyana has lost territory, investment, and the opportunity to improve the well-being of its people. So you will understand why I'm especially appreciative of the court's decision, which in essence says, in the first instance, that the court accepts the contention of the Guyana legal team that the court has the powers to consider the case, and we look forward to consideration of the substance of the case after this.
And as we move forward, because this is not over, this is a small victory, we still have to present the merits of the case, so we still have some ways to go. So we want the people of Guyana to understand that we need their support as well. I would like to also thank our international partners and friends who have stood by our side, and recognizing that the 1899 arbitral award is final and complete. And we've always made that argument. We believe that that will see the end of this process, and Guyana will become victorious, so we can move on peacefully in being able to exploit our resources and to enjoy stability not only here in Guyana, but within the region.
Greenidge, who is also the former Minister of Foreign Affairs, said the team awaits an invitation by the International Court to examine the substantive issues in the case. During an interview with the media subsequently, he noted that the case can run on for 6 to 9 years, but with Venezuela's insistence on not participating in the matter, this time can be lessened. Now, Attorney General Senior Counsel Anil Nandlal says missing Haitians must be found before he responds to the High Court about how they were treated and over 1,000 Region 4 residents to receive house lots. Those and more when the newsroom returns. Stay tuned. This is the newsroom. The Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Senior Counsel Anil Nandlal, on Friday said he intends to make full disclosures to the court on the state's treatment of Haitian nationals who were detained and taken into protective accommodation on suspicions of human trafficking and smuggling. His comments come hours after Chief Justice Acting Roxanne George asked the state to show how 26 Haitians who were detained and ordered deported went from possible trafficking in persons victims to prohibited immigrants. The Chief Justice also asked the state for full disclosure of the treatment meted out to the Haitian nationals while in the state's care. Kurt Campbell reports.
Chief Justice Acting Roxanne George on Friday pushed back against repeated requests by Guyana's Attorney General, Senior Counsel Anil Nandlal, for the dismissal of a case brought before her on the constitutionality of the detention and planned deportation of 26 Haitian nationals. The Attorney General told the court that the case should be dismissed because the whereabouts of the 10 men, 9 women and 7 children are currently unknown. He said with a stay on the deportation in effect, the Haitians were released from the state's protective accommodation, but they were suspected to have left the jurisdiction illegally, confirming the suspicion of the Guyanese authority. But the Chief Justice, in refusing to dismiss the case, insisted there were some important questions that the state must answer for future guidance and preventing a recurrence. Among the queries is for the state to explain how possible trafficking in persons victims became prohibited immigrants and for a full disclosure of the treatment meted out to the Haitian nationals while in the state's care. The Attorney General said that the state is not opposed to answering the court's queries, but he believes the Haitians must be found and presented to the court in order for the case to move forward.
In that letter, that the 26 Haitians be produced in the court in the event that Mr. Wade is disputing the information which I have received. Significantly, Mr. Wade informed the court that it is in fact true that he is unaware of the whereabouts of the 26 Haitians and that his information is they have left the jurisdiction.
The Chief Justice said what happened with the Haitians should never happen again, and she's interested in finding out whether the procedures which have been put in place by law to deal with both TIP victims and prohibited migrants were followed. Nandlal said it is now confirmed that the Haitians entered Guyana simply as a transient point to enter other countries unlawfully. He said it was while detained that the state learned that they also furnished immigration officers with misleading information. He said the government's position has been vindicated, although there are several allegations of constitutional violations and mistreatment.
The fact that in the end it turned out exactly as the government suspected, that they were simply coming to Guyana not for the purpose of observing the permission that they received to stay in Guyana for 6 months initially, but that they entered Guyana with the intent of going on to unlawfully to a third jurisdiction or a second jurisdiction. In that regard, the government's position has been vindicated.
When the matter came up in the High Court on Friday, Attorney at Law Darren Wade made an oral application for an extension of time to file affidavits on behalf of the Haitians. That application was turned down by the Chief Justice. But while Wade has not responded to the submissions made by the state through the AG's chamber, the Chief Justice raised their own concerns which the state will have to respond to when the case comes up again in January 2021. On December 1st, Principal Magistrate Sheldon Isaacs Marcus at the Georgetown Magistrates Court issued an order for the nationals to be taken to the nearest port of exit on the grounds that they violated Guyana's immigration laws. The Chief Justice suspended the deportation, which led the government to release the Haitians from its custody at their request. 2 days before the matter came up in the High Court, the government reported that the Haitians who were last seen at a city hotel had gone missing. Kurt Campbell, Newsroom.
Now, some 1,800 residents from Region 4 will finally be awarded a house lot on Friday and Saturday through the Ministry of Housing and Water Dream Realized initiative. The two-day event is being held at the National Stadium Providence, East Bank, Demerara. The ministry has also invited representatives from the various banks and insurance companies to assist the residents with any query or information they may have in relation to building their house. Isnel Patwa reports.
A registered midwife, Andrea Ned, was among the first set of persons who were given a house lot on Friday at the National Stadium, Providence, East Bank, and Demerara during the Ministry of Housing and Water Dream Realize initiative. During an interview with the Newsroom, Ned explained that she first applied for a house lot in 2009 and then again in 2013. However, when the People's Progressive Party government took office in August 2020, Ned again approached the ministry and was promised that she would receive a call, but she was doubtful.
They did call me. I was in a bus when I got that call that I must report here this morning to come for my house lot. And this morning I got another call, which I was going to work, and I said, you know what, let me come. So no regrets, I'm here, and thanks to God again that I have received my house lot. What a relief. What a relief. I think this part of it is over. So I won't say a house, but as a single parent, my home.
Meanwhile, Deorani Budram said she sent in her application since 2011 and was told she had to wait for the government to allocate house lots. 9 years later, the mother of one is happy to begin the process of owning her house. Budram lamented that she spent a lot of money on rent over the past 9 years.
I went several times to the office. They keep saying that I have to wait to allocate the house lots them. I keep on waiting, I keep on praying, and thank God for this day. It's going to be a big step in my life right now. Because plenty times you have to keep moving from house to house, and it's not easy to find that money every month to pay the house rent. Now I'm getting my own lot. I'm going to start building soon.
Recipients will be required to make a down payment and will also be guided throughout the process by the staff of the ministry as well as Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell and other officials.
Today is the day that you will attain what is perhaps one of the most important achievements of your life. And I'm grateful that I am here to witness this celebration for your achievement. For home ownership is a priority for this government.
The government in its 2020 manifesto promised to allocate 50. Minister Crowell revealed that there are major challenges with attaining this goal. He alluded to the unavailability of lands, lack of infrastructure, access to loans and construction costs. The government has so far removed the value-added tax on building materials, while over $3 billion was allocated to the housing sector for infrastructural development in new and current housing schemes, as well as land acquisition.
I feel so happy that I can't really say I feel happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what is your current living situation?
A little dishappy now where I live in. So I'm happy that I get land now with my husband.
While the initial goal was to allocate 3,000 house lots by the end of the year, Minister Crowell stated that they will be allocating 3,500 by the end of 2020. Reporting for the Newsroom, I am Isanela Patwo.
Through robust contact tracing, the COVID-19 task forces in each administrative region are working to contain the spread of the disease. The Health Minister, Dr. Frank Anthony, on Friday said the teams are working in areas which have seen an increase in the number of positive cases over the past week. He says strategies will be implemented to restrict movement. Dr. Anthony previously disclosed that a number of communities in regions 10 and 2 are areas of concern for the ministry.
Well, I mean, I think we have a fairly robust surveillance systems across the region. And using the regional teams, they're able to detect cases across the country. So we will continue to work with them and get them out to various communities that we feel might be more at risk. And once we do that, we'll get a sense of whether they're positive cases or not. Using that information, then we'll determine what other strategies we need to use in those communities. And that's what we've been doing over the last couple of months. So as we test more and as we go into specific areas, we can find whether they're positives or and that's what we've been using. When somebody tests positive, so they come into one of our testing sites and we test them and they're positive, what we want to determine is all the persons who they would have been in contact with. So we will interview them to get a sense of, who has been close to you, who is at home with you, have you been working?
And it's perfect for sports. You guys have something that's happening here that persons can take advantage of. What is that?
Well, that is a Project Rock. Rock has teamed up with Under Armour to bring out this great complete sporting outfit that will encourage us to put more intensity in our workout. Right, we all know Rock, the big wrestler, he like to be, physical, and definitely this outfit will encourage us, it will help us to push our workout.
What is the ideal sneakers that persons can find here at MVP?
Well, definitely I'd recommend from MVP Sports the Nike sneakers. They're comfortable, they support our soul, it's good for taking some jogs around in the neighborhood. Now, here at MVP Sport, you might not be comfortable with a Nike sneaker. We also have the Adidas brand, we have the Skechers brand, the Under Armour brand, and the Puma brand, something that you might be comfortable with.
So basically you guys have a brand for everyone.
Okay, well at MVP Sports we cater not just for one person, we cater for the whole family. So we also have shoes for the kids and clothing. We want to bring the whole family in, and this is Christmas season, family workout.
Definitely. So what else is happening here at MVP Sports that persons need to know, and tell me, why should persons come here and shop for that perfect holiday gift?
The perfect holiday gift is right here at MVP Sports. Well, apart from the products that we've mentioned earlier, we also have the sauna suit that will help us to lose that extra water weight that we might be carrying around. Right, we also have the waist trimmer. Now the waist trimmer helps us to get that best core and ab that we can possibly achieve. Right, we also have the rollers that will also work on our core muscle. We also have the agility ladder. A lot of us might not be into too much running. And if we want to get that good warm-up, that good workout, and still add cardio to it, skipping rope is definitely one of the gifts I would give someone. Right? We also have the water bottles, the bags. Now these bags, we have different brands, mainly the Under Armour bag. It's spacious, it's strong, it's durable, it's perfect to pack all your gym equipment inside. We also have the exercising mats. Now, you might not want to just do a floor workout just on the bare ground. Now, these mats help protect us because when we sweat, the floor tends to get slippery, and these mats will help us in that aspect.
How can persons find MVP Sports?
You can find MVP Sports at Giftland Mall. The ground floor is second entrance. It's the first store just as you come into the second entrance on your left. We are also online at mvpsportsgy.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. And come down to MVP Sports. We have that gift that lasts this Christmas for you.
Thank you very much for sharing that with us. Until next time, I'm Mark Murray, and this is Newsroom's Christmas in 5.
When the newsroom returns, the financial, weather, and bridge reports, along with sports. Welcome back to Newsroom. Now for a look at what's happening in sport. We're starting off with some basketball news. The Guyana Amateur Basketball Federation, that's the GABF, recently held its annual general meeting on a virtual platform with focus on implementing new strategies to aid the development of the sport. The AGM was presented with a year in review by the President, Michael Singh, while Vice President of Marketing, Alex Graham, presented a new strategy for the creation of a marketing commission that will be tasked with the responsibilities of sponsorship, marketing, corporate identity, and the rebranding of the GABF, including its digital assets and events. Technical Coordinator Junior Hercules presented a roadmap for return to play, utilizing the guidelines provided by FIBA, that's the international governing body. General Secretary Patrick Haynes presented a GABF strategy 2019-2027 with focus on three main priorities: empowering sub-associations, women in basketball, and enlarging the GABF family. The strategic roadmap includes developing youth basketball, continuing to build 3-on-3 basketball, reshaping national club competitions, building a center of excellence for the GABF National Club Championship, and creating sustainable financial growth. Haynes later updated the members on regional and international activities outlined by FIBA, including the 2023 FIBA Basketball World Cup qualifiers and the 2021 FIBA 3-on-3 AmeriCup qualifiers planned for 2021, along with the Women in Basketball initiative by FIBA Americas, Adelante Women's Forum, and the increased allotment of FIBA game officials for Guyana. Cricket news now. The West Indies Limited Overs captain Kieran Pollard has offered advice to younger players, noting that they have to make sacrifices in order to be a true professional who succeeds at the highest level. Akim Green reports.
Pollard took over West Indies white ball leadership in October 2019 after not being selected for yet another failed World Cup campaign in recent years by West Indies. He had not played an ODI in nearly 3 years, but had featured in T20s regularly. Since then, he has won 2 ODI series against Afghanistan and Ireland and lost to India, both home and away, and then Sri Lanka. His only T20 international series success of the 6 series thus far came against Sri Lanka in March of this year. Both of the limited overs squad consist of young and promising talents, but according to the seasoned campaigner, the only way they will maximize that potential is if they make the necessary sacrifices.
Sometimes a guy's life reflects how he plays on the cricket field indirectly, and that is one of the things that has affected us, greatly in the past 15, 20 years or so with our individuals, and it's a proven fact. We can go back and look at it, and we can have conversations around that. So those sort of conversations and those sort of things are what is going to help our youths and our youngsters be the best version of themselves and make them to understand that success doesn't come overnight. Sacrifice. We got to sacrifice a lot of things. Yes, it's not an 8 to 4 job, but we have to put in that amount of hours in our profession in order for us to do better, as individuals. So there's a couple of things that needs to actually change. Our mindsets need to change. We talk about this is our culture and this is our thing. I think culture is just a mindset. And you look at the world today, some of the things that are not important or we thought was important before, the last 12 months or so has taught us that it's not about that. It's not about some of the unimportant things. It's not about the designer stuff. It's not about, being out there. It's about working hard, sacrificing, saving, thinking about the future, thinking about life after cricket, thinking about what needs to be done if I don't get that opportunity right now to play.
Pollard is one of the most successful T20 players in the world, and he felt the players need to consistently keep working at their game, even in the off-season.
When you leave tour, that's not it. You go home and you have to follow up. Sometimes we tend to just go home, just relax and turn up for another tour. And these are some of the things that, again, we're trying to push, and we want guys to, and the regional coaches and everyone to understand that when these guys come out from regional cricket, we want them international cricket, because you don't want to have to learn your craft on the international scene, which a lot of us, and I say us very boldly, has had to do when we come on the international scene.
Furthermore, head coach Phil Simmons felt it is important these young players are educated about life skills and not just about the game of cricket.
But the more we educate the players, the quicker they improve, the quicker they pick up things that we want them to learn, the quicker they understand their own games and be able to take it forward. And I think I will always be saying that if you have 2 people can bowl the same, and one is being educated properly and one is not educated. The one who's educated is going to go further quicker.
West Indies are coming off a winless tour in New Zealand, where they lost 2 of the 3 T20 internationals, and the third was a no result. They lost both tests by an innings defeat. The A team, which largely consisted of international players, lost both 4-day matches to New Zealand A. Their next assignment are 2 tests and 3 one-day internationals in Bangladesh for mid-January. For the newsroom, Akim Green.
We tell you now that Guyanese players continue to excel in the U.S. Open T20 tournament, with several of them performing on day 3 at the Central Broward Regional Park. Senior national player Christopher Barnwell was named man of the match for his match-winning 50 for 22 yards against Brampton Pacers. Barnwell's compatriots Kevin Sinclair, Devendra Bishu and Ashmead Ned bowled well up front to limit Brampton Pacers to 127 for 8 before he anchored the chase to seal a 6-wicket win. Guyana Amazon Warriors opener Chandapal Hemraj was outstanding with bat and ball for the second game in succession, making 43 and taking 1 for 17 in Somerset Cavaliers' 9-run win over US All-Stars. Guyana Jaguars left-arm spinner Gudakesh Moti was splendid in all 3 facets of the game as well, making 40 not out of 11, claiming 1 for 29 and taking arguably the catch of the tournament, covering great distance on the boundary. For more information on the tournament, visit our website, Newsroom.gy. Football news now. The Guyana Football Federation will partner with the Brazilian business and marketing consultancy Alabanquima to expand and tap into commercial opportunities for the Golden Jaguars brand of Guyana's senior national men's team. More in this report. The Golden Jaguars have achieved global recognition in recent years, qualifying for Guyana's first appearance at the men's CONCACAF Gold Cup and performing in front of millions of viewers around the world on live television during the 2019 tournament. The team is set to grace the Gold Cup stage again in 2021, competing in the newly created preliminary rounds in the United States in July. The partnership with Alabanquima will last for an initial 12 months. The Brazilian firm is run by Flavio Waltz and Marcelo de Paulos, who have more than 25 years in combined experience in the field, including working with the Brazilian drinks giant Ambev, the state-owned oil company Petrobras, former Brazilian football star Ronaldo's Nine Company, and the legendary Botafogo Football Club. President of the Guyana Football Federation, Wayne Ford, said, and I quote, "The Golden Jaguars continue to make all of Guyana proud, and in the process, they have lifted the profile and visibility of our beautiful country. It is only fitting that we now endeavor to capitalize on this success by pursuing every opportunity to commercialize the program. Our partnership with Alabanquima is an additional chapter in our ongoing efforts to fully professionalize the GFF national team program. We are very excited about what the future holds for our beloved Golden Jaguars, and we stand prepared to work closely with our new partner to unleash their true potential." End quote. Under the agreement, the goal of the Brazilian firm will be to secure partners and sponsors to support the men's national team during the 2021-2022 season, with a particular focus on its second consecutive appearance at the Gold Cup, as well as the 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. Finally, India took the upper hand as 15 wickets fell on day 2 of a fast-moving first test against Australia in Adelaide. The superb tourists bowled Australia out for 191, but lost opener Prithvi Shaw in reaching 9 for 1, a lead of 62. Australian captain Tim Payne made an unbeaten 73, while Ravichandran Ashwin took 4 for 55 and Umesh Yadav 3 for 40. Earlier, India slipped from 233 for 6 overnight to 244 all out inside the first 19 balls of the day, as Mitchell Starc finished with 4 for 53. Pat Cummins claimed 3 for 48 and also bowled Shaw through the gate in the 6 overs possible before the close in India's second innings. Scores in the match so far: India 244 and 9 for 1, Australia 191. And with that, we've come to the end of the news for this evening. Of course, you can find updates on these and other stories on our website, Newsroom.gy, our Facebook page and Instagram. On behalf of the entire news team, my name is Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching. Be safe. Have a great weekend. See you back here on Monday.